Great father, very, very much loved his family, loved life. He was full of energy.
Just a minute. Before we go. Just a minute before you go. Coming over your head, me.
He always brought home the fun to the kids, and be the first one out the door to play. He just was really active.
Here we go.
You're not going.
What? That's that butt stuck in it? Oh,
Funny, outgoing, a generous, giving, kind-hearted person. And he was just always there for me and always there for everyone else. He was my number one influence. It's just nice to see that he's still around even when he's not. And just in the girls too.
Tom was really just, I think, the type of person, he had that type of charisma and that personality. I think that people just gravitated towards him.
He was always so friendly and so happy, but you could tell he had a real wisdom about him. He was a very smart businessman, very sharp.
The business partnership between his brother Ryan, he just treasured that.
We were brothers for sure, but he was a father figure to me for as long as I can remember.
Tom used to tell stories of Ryan, him waking up as a teenager, and Ryan sleeping at the foot of his bed, waiting for him to wake up, because he looked up to his older brother so much.
When I was young, Tom was in college, right when I was 3-4 years old, and Tom didn't have 2 pennies to his name, you know what I mean? But every time he came home, he brought me a $2 Lego set or a shirt from the fraternity. I never remember him not giving me something.
Tom loved to golf, did a lot of golfing. Early in our relationship, we played golf all the time.
Tom and I were both members up at Prairie Club, the course in Valentine, and they had this 2-day pro-am. And so we kind of put a group together.
And we're going to make a 3-day run of it and fly back and just, have this boys weekend, which is going to be a blast.
It was really early. He had left at 5:30 or something, so I was still sleeping. He woke me up and, said, "I love you," and I'm going. And he said he'd call later.
Drove all the way to Sandhills to play one round at Sandhills first. And Tom and I had never golfed there, And when we got to the course, he was what I thought was nervous. And I thought he was just nervous because it's the Sandhills. It's a top 50 course in the world, and, quite frankly, him and I might not ever play it again. This was our time, and he was in the group in front of me. He was the first group, teed off, piped one right down the middle in front of everybody, which was a big deal. He walked up, gave me a fist bump, and off we were going.
And I remember him marching down the middle of the fairway. And he's got his shoulders back, and he's, and he's proud. He's just fired up. And it was just, I remember thinking now that guy's having fun. And shortly thereafter, we play a couple more holes, and he starts talking about, having indigestion. And that was 7, and we all hit shots in the fairway, so we're all charged up, and we go down, and Tom had bent over, and he had his index finger on the ground. And all of a sudden, he knelt down, and he said, "Something's not right." He says, I think I'm dehydrated.
Matt Davison said to me, "Somebody's kneeling down out there." But, people kneel down all the time. I don't know if he's reading a putt or whatever it was. And honestly didn't think another thing of it.
We get to the next hole, 8. He says, "You guys go ahead. I'm just going to have another water." And he goes, I just don't feel right. My arms don't feel right. I got this tingling feeling in my hands. And I said, "Are you having chest pressure or pain?" And he says, "I'm not having a heart attack, Miles." He says, "I just need to lay down. Maybe we just go back to the RV and I'll lay down and get some rest." So we park the carts kind of facing each other. And Tom is in the cart, and he's definitely doesn't look well, but he's still alert and he's still talking. As Tom left his cart, there's probably, you know, 1.5 foot of distance between the two carts facing each other. And he goes out and he kind of slides between the two carts and he goes, "Hey, coach, I still got it," you know, because he's kind of sliding, you know, through and, you know, just, and I'm like, "Yeah, you do. Yeah, you still got it," you know. And
We got to 8, and they had told us that they took Tom up. He was, you know, tired. He was going to lay down, or, you know, he wasn't feeling good. And so we hit our tee shots on 8, and we were in the middle of the fairway when coach came running at us to say, "Hey, we need to go." And even at that point, I said, "You guys stay here. I'll go. He's my brother, you know. I'll go," because I thought, it's going to be fine. We're going to go up there and see him, you know. We're going to let him rest for a little bit. And Tim said, "No, we all go."
so we take off as fast as the carts would take us. And from the time that Tom was kneeling down looking at the sprinkler head until we came around the corner and saw him laying there, you know, it's 20 minutes, you know.
I was riding with Dr. Strasburger, and I saw Tom laying there with his shirt pulled up, and his complexion had changed. I wanted to let my brother, Jeff, know. His cell phones don't work out there. I got a landline and got a hold of Jeff. I said, "Hey, Tom's struggling. I think he might have had a heart attack. You need to head to Lincoln. I'll call you when I know more."
He's not going to make it. You can tell. I mean, he's not making it. And I'm watching, and there's 3 doctors there, and they're all working. And I hear Ryan and John Bruning and saying, "Come on, Tom."
We were all yelling, "Come on, Tom, you know, hang in there."
Ryan goes up and holds his hand for a while, and he's gone. You know, I mean, you know, you can hear the doctor say, "I haven't had anything in 17 minutes now." You know, we're going on and on. And I remember saying, he's gone. Ryan comes out, everybody's hugging him, and I remember him saying, looks at John Bruning, he says, "What do I do now?" You know, I mean, just, here's his big brother, right? He used to sleep on the foot of his bed. His business partner, his best friend. What do I do now?
I was able to spend some time with Tom, you know, just him and I, and it was tough. It was, you know, he wasn't there, but it was emotional, and but I was thankful to have good friends by me.
The doorbell rang, and I looked out the window and I saw my one sister-in-law, and I was like, "Oh, she must be in town." And then I opened it, and it was Tom's brother Jeff and both of my sister-in-laws. And so my smile quickly turned, because I could tell by Lisa's face that something was terribly wrong. And I thought, you know, maybe there had been an accident, or I needed to leave and go to the hospital somewhere. But never in a million years did I expect them to say that Tom was gone. Never in my mind did I think that he would have a heart attack at age 48.
I just kept telling myself, this couldn't be real, this couldn't happen. And I replay that moment in my head every day, and it never gets any easier.
I wanted to talk to some of the other guys on the trip, Tim and John, and just, you know, I wanted some reassurance that, you know, those last moments, that he was at least enjoying himself and having fun.
I was so sad for his family and his young children and his wife and Ryan and you know, being there and nobody being able to do anything about it, you know. Just was like, you're just so helpless.
And that's the thing about heart disease, you know what I mean, is looking back on it now, sure, Tom was 15 pounds, 20 pounds overweight, you know what I mean? But we were very active. We didn't sit behind desks every day. We were up doing physical work, but he was tough. And I think maybe he didn't know he was getting worse off health-wise.
He for sure probably wasn't getting the cardiovascular activity that maybe his heart and his body needed. He recently had a physical, and there really wasn't anything. His cholesterol seemed fine, his blood pressure was fine.
Nobody thought he was going to have a heart attack. Our dad had a heart attack about 10 years ago.
Something a lot of times I think people think is something that happens to somebody who's much older. And I guess I kind of fell into that thinking as well.
My family's got heart problems. My dad at 87 had open heart surgery, and now I can't get him to quit yelling at me about rebounding and why don't we score more baskets or whatever it might be. How do we lose to those guys? Those refs stink. He's full of vinegar, and because of my dad, the year prior, I had gone through the executive health thing and got the full checkup, the whole heart thing, and I would encourage everybody to do whatever it takes to take care of yourself.
I went and I've pretty much ran every heart test underneath the sun.
It's not a certain type of person, or it's not just people who don't exercise or who, aren't active. It can be anybody.
My hope for the future is that American Heart Association gets the word out more to people and understand that this could happen to anyone.
This is something that I'm behind, and I want other people to get behind. I want to encourage people to take care of themselves and be there for their families, because when you see the moment that it strikes, it changes you, and you see what it does to families and how it affects lives, and unfortunately, it's not going away, but we can improve it and we can do better.
And the truth be told, Tom gave me everything I have in my life, and the true last gift he gave me was that you need to get yourself in shape. You need to work at it. It's not, life's too good. And that was the last gift Tom gave me on the way out, was to take care of myself. And I owe it to other people. It's bigger than me now.
Do it for your family, do it for your children. I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old sister, and they've lost their world too.
And I'm, concerned for my kids, and I want to bring them up with the awareness of this, and hopefully someday they can see this video and look back and see maybe how losing their dad was such a terrible thing, but maybe sharing our story has made a big difference and raised awareness. And if we can save another family from having to experience this kind of heartache, that would be a good legacy, I think, to leave for the girls.